night, everyone, and welcome to PsychOnDeGo. And tonight we're talking with three beautiful, energetic ladies. We have Gabi, Alicia, and Rennie. Say hi, wave to the camera. And tonight we're just gonna talk about, different topics that, to me, I think it's general to every religion, every denomination. We all have different views on the same topic. It's somewhat controversial to some, and to some it's just whatever is whatever. So tonight we're gonna start off with, I would say, the easiest question of them all. So from most churches, you hear that little phrase called being unequally yoked. You hear that topic, you hear a lot of people talking about it. And in a loose definition, that just means out of sync, in terms of beliefs, morals, values, etc. So what is your take on that topic? Anybody could start, or do you want me to call names?
To me, I think that topic is a little touchy-ish. For me personally, I don't really much believe much in you and a person being in sync together, if that makes sense, because it's like, I believe in being an individual, even though you're in a marriage or something. So, I don't know.
Yeah, so like Rennie was saying, I believe in individuality, but at the same time, I understand when they say unequally yoked, most of the times they speak of it in terms of like a religion. So like if you are one religion and your partner is another religion, most of the time at least in my experience, that's how it's usually used. So in that aspect, I agree that, being unequally yoked can be problematic, especially like for myself, like how I was raised, or like how my parents are. Yes, they're married for like 30 years now, but my mother's Christian, my father's atheist. Might as well be.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And I agree that, it causes a lot of problems that could be avoided. Not saying that it can work, because in my experience, like I've seen my parents make it work for 30 years now, but there's definitely a reason. Like I see the reason behind, saying that you should not be unequally yoked.
Okay, all right. Alicia, what do you think? Oh, Renee was gonna say something.
No, go ahead.
Well, this is one of the questions that, for me as a person, I think that being equally yoked is important, simply to avoid, confusions later on in a marriage, because what you find happening a lot that they may not always talk about it, is that, when it's time to raise children and you have two people, well, I'm going from the aspect of two persons of different religion. So, you have a devout Hindu, and you have also a devout Roman Catholic, right? It may not work. I mean, because, daddy is one thing, mommy is one thing, and for me, you don't want a situation where the children they end up being confused, and they just don't believe in God, right? So being equally yoked for me is very important. And I think in our church as well, they do make they make a little leeway, but they still prefer that you marry someone of the same the same denomination, just to avoid going into a lot of problems, because I've seen in family where two persons were different religions and they didn't mesh at all. Because their beliefs was different, and this was, well, Christian and Muslim. So, one person believed, well, okay, I could, well, have another person outside of marriage, and the other person didn't believe that, and that caused a lot of problems. It actually caused where the relationship, it didn't work out at all. So, being equally yoked for me is very important if you're looking at the aspect of the same religion. Then.
Yeah. Because I usually tell other persons, when people ask the question to me sometimes as if I could be with a man outside of my religion, which is no, right? But Islamically, men can marry women of the books. Because I know my imam, his wife, she's a Christian, I believe. And he also has another wife, well, she's Muslim. It works. Not everybody is the same, but it works for some people. But to me, I find it's important because when it comes to simple things like food, your wife might want to eat in the pork, and you can't eat the pork, and she cooking the pork in the house, and all these things, that those are little things that could be avoided. So that's why it's really important. But I think at the same time, conversations like these should happen before you even make a big commitment to even get married. Because
Yes, I agree.
it's marriage we're talking about. So, yeah.
And like I said before, like, especially in terms of raising children, it's not even only a matter of the children being confused, but also like children picking sides, because say you
Yes.
Hindu, and you don't have a problem going all the fests and the parties, and then mommy telling you, you're supposed to be Christian, you need to stay home and go church camp, come carnival. It really causes tension in terms of like picking sides, even with between the parents and all that. So yeah. And the thing is, like, unequally, sometimes even like, okay, even if both of you are Christian is like divided into like a lot of different sub-religions. So like both of you might believe in Christ, but he's Catholic and you're Pentecostal, something like that. So even there, unequally yoked, even though you have the same fundamental belief, could be problematic. So yeah.
Yeah, that is actually so true, even because that Christian umbrella is so huge that while we might have, the basics, we believe in Christ and that kind of thing, certain things are so different from each other. And I guess that's what makes us different. So it will be a struggle. It would be a struggle. So I want to pick off of something that was said earlier concerning, I think Alicia mentioned it, that is the Muslim faith. And we'll ask Renee to answer this one first. Concerning, concerning, polygamy and monogamy. And now the church now, under the Christian umbrella, the church now promotes, they push monogamy. But in the Bible and the Quran, you have examples of polygamous relationships. So why do you think the church is going down that road of, one man to one woman instead of, in terms of Abraham and those people having multiple wives?
I believe that the church, when they have is a, oh God, how to say this? This is your right way, because there's a union in front of God, and I hope I don't get bashed for this, but to me, I feel like the church, they pick and choose what is right once it's going in their way. Because as you said, it's mentioned before in the Bible and stuff like that. It's there. So it's not that this is a bad thing. You all just don't agree with it because Or just choose not to.
All right.
Right. Going off of what Randy said, in terms of like, the church picking and choosing what they want to, go with, even though like there are like multiple examples in the Bible. I think it's like also okay, so like kind of to like shift the times, like current society I feel like is built for a two income household, right? So I don't think like current society could support how the way a man is. If you go on a traditional man, like, or a biblical man, he would have to provide for 2 women, 2 families, etc.
The cost of living now very high. Cost of living very high right now.
Ladies at once, right. So like how society is set up now, he won't be able to like afford 2 wives, to mine 2 wives right now. So, while, even though, especially in Christianity, they choose to stick with a lot of traditional views, I think modern day society can't really support the polygamy because I feel like it'll be very problematic financially.
Well, I was stating that it all depends on who you follow. So you would say that Jesus Christ, right? And whereas, okay, for the Muslims, I know they follow Allah, right? And well, I don't know much about the Muslim faith, but the beliefs are different. So you would say that there are things that would be accepted in the Muslim faith that is definitely not accepted in Christianity, right? So it all depends as well.
Okay, I want to ask Rennie a question though. In Trinidad, especially, because you did mention that your imam, he has 2 wives, right? So I know in Trinidad, legally, is that allowed? Because I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm asking.
Right. So how because I was in my last marriage was a polygamous marriage. It's not illegal because we don't follow the Sharia law here. This is not Saudi and that kind of stuff. So the Sharia law will make it legal for, when it comes to registering wives. So what happened, the person who was married first wife, she will have the opportunity to register marriage and stuff like that. But it is allowed. It is allowed and it is recognized in Trinidad.
Okay. I think I had to ask.
Yeah. But I also
have a question. No, how you said it's like recognized. So like legally they have like the other wives besides the first wife.
They
also
will be
has one?
law.
Oh,
okay. Okay, so the first wife legally, that's the one that would have the marriage certificates and everything, but other than that, it would be recognized as common law.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I also wanted to add with regards to the whole polygamy thing as well. Besides like out of the church, I thought to me now, outside of Islam, I've been seeing a lot of polygamy where persons, it's a thing now, right? And even in Islam, to me, what can make it work is when it's done right, when it's done correctly. And everybody thinks that, it's a side chick, it's a this, it's a that. It have rules. No, that's no rule, but I look at it because persons not educated or they're not knowledgeable on what it really is. Even in Islam, their sisters, their Muslim sisters will be like, no, my husband can't get another wife. If you get an ex-wife, divorce and all these things. And it all boils down to you having knowledge and the man in the equation doing what he's supposed to do correctly, because he's supposed to treat you all equal and, provide and stuff like that. But to me, polygamy now is like, some people is an excuse to have
an extra person.
But yeah, but to me, I just find the church, they pick and choose what is what. I mean, if it's in the Bible, I don't think the Bible will have stuff in there to mislead you. Because I believe the Bible, the Quran, is a guide to humanity, how to live life. So if these things were there, written, it's not man-made, it's the book of God, then why should it be classed as something wrong? That's just my thing.
Yeah.
I asked this.
I'm 100% sure on this, but actually it's more like a question because I really don't know. But like in the New Testament, are there any like examples of polygamy? Like
that's what I was not going to actually mention, because I asked this question to a friend of mine today, and that basically was her response. She said, we read the Bible in its entirety, but coming down to the end, you see that, God more focused on one woman to one man. It wasn't, the polygamous relationships as before. His focus was more on husband, love your wife as Christ loved the church. And it was, it was more one woman to one man. So I think what she was trying to say is, being that was the kind of the focus down to the end, she thinks that that's why the church now focuses on one man, one woman, a monogamous relationship, because like Abby asked, in the New Testament there is no examples of it. So that was her response to that. So I was actually just gonna stick that little point in there, another perspective.
And that would have been something that the church follow, because even if you go back even to the Old Testament with Genesis, you would also see that man and woman became one flesh, which is singular. He didn't specify and say woman, so that is something as well to consider.
Even like when I saw the question, I don't know why, but like I went back to the story of Abraham, and it more seemed like they more just condoned having like multiple wives rather than, you instructed, okay, you should have multiple wives. It was more like, oh, well, my wife can't have children, so I'm gonna take an ex-wife and have children. It wasn't like, I just want an ex-wife, so I'm gonna get an ex-wife.
Right. That's what I was saying with regards to persons when they get it into it. They have a lot of not requirements, but it have a lot of fine print state and persons don't understand. Because in Islam, whereas some of the reasons behind you taking on another wife with regards to if the sister, her husband passed away, she have kids, and you could marry her to help provide. Like as you just said, Gabby, your wife can't have kids, but you want kids, and you could go and you can have another wife with regards to wanting to have children and all these things. But I think now in this society it's like a show kind of thing. So I could have two wives, because in Islam that's how it does be sometimes with these brothers. That's how they be. They have 2-3 wives. It's like a thing. So I was like,
I do have another question for Rennie as well. Like she's mentioning stuff, and as she mentioned stuff, I just want to throw out certain questions. You said that the brothers can marry sisters of the book. So meaning, is that like once I believe some like along the same lines as you, doesn't matter religion or denomination. Once I believe along the same line, but the sisters can't marry outside of.
Yeah, we can't marry outside. Believe, I believe in. As I say, it's not loud as like, wait, I need to ask. It's more so like, for instance, I could speak on what I see. So my imam, his wife, the kids, their kids are Muslim. They come to the mosque, they function as Muslims and stuff like that. I believe she's a Christian, as I said. And sometimes she's even be in the mosque too, like for Ramadan, when it's Ramadan. She comes, she doesn't wear hijab and all these things, but she intermingles with what is going on. Okay. Right? Okay. But when it comes to, I just think, I'm going back to the yoke being uneven. So a thing is that I find that once you have the conversation and you'll have an understanding, it could work. Because as I see it work with him, the children are divided. They know Friday is Jumu'ah, and it's not a pull and tug where I have to go to church Sunday with mommy, but Friday I in the mosque with daddy, and that kind of thing. They are full-on Muslims functioning and stuff. So I just think with the understanding and communication, it could work. Yeah. All right. All right. All right. So, throwing out another question here. So, in terms of sex education, society, the church / the mosque, how do you think it has been impacted with the rise of gender rights and gender equality for all, and particularly or specifically in terms of the LGBTQ plus community?
As far as I know.
Yes.
As far as my experience goes, there has been no impact. It is all as it has been. As far as I guess in Trinidad.
In Trinidad.
I guess the US churches is a little more progressive, so they try to be a little more inclusive. But in terms of Trinidad, it's
a normal experience. Oh, that's the church. But in terms of, let's say, sex education in school, have you seen anything in terms of that, how it has impacted that? And not just school, and just teaching children in general about sex education. How has that changed?
I don't think
I go back in school and I can't remember they have in mother.
Yeah, I went to Catholic school, so I really don't know. It was basically the same.
Yeah, I think it depends on the school you go to. So maybe in a how you call it? How you call convent?
It's a government. Yeah, government assisted schools. Yeah.
You may be more open, and I mean, I'm not saying that in because there are instances in convents and these schools where you see, some girls they might like another girl, but it doesn't mean that they would promote it would be something that is promoted or taught. Because I remember going to convents, and when that issue arose, the girls were penalized once caught in the act. So it's not something that is promoted then, and they would not teach like it's okay to like another person of the same gender. Again, it all goes back as well to the beliefs and the teachings, right, of the church. So the church really have a big influence on society
Yeah. Because even though we have some people in society that say, well, I no longer go to church. They're not religious, they're spiritual. I think that's the saying now. I think you're right. They're not religious, they're spiritual. They still revert to certain things that religion teaches. So, and that really has a big impact on, how society thinks and how society functions in terms of a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
This topic is a bit touchy for me
Hmm.
because Islamically, we don't believe in homosexuality and all these things. That's untrue. That's haram. I have a sister.
Before you go on, define what haram is, for us who don't know.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
not permissible, it's wrong. It's
Okay.
forbidden, right? But the reason why it's touchy for me and I don't really get into it too much because I have a sister, she's a lesbian. And
Oh my
I
gosh.
remember discussing into it with somebody because somebody was like, why you posting this person? And I was like, this is my sister. I say, yes, I'm a Muslim. I'm not condoning in the act of being a homosexual or anything like that, but that is my sister. And then on top of that, I have really good friends who are lesbians and I love them. I'm not gonna shun them or anything like that. I mean, certain things, and they know for a fact not to invite me to certain things because of the environment that it would be around. They respect my religion and stuff like that. So it's really touchy. I mean, I don't look down or discriminate anybody for their sexual preference. Because as I said, it's home for me because I have a sister who's a lesbian. And I just stay in my lane when it comes to it, more or less.
Yeah.
I understand Renee's approach.
Yeah, I understand where she's coming from.
Yeah. Because I guess in like the same way, yes, you don't condone your sin, but we don't walk around saying, oh, I'm not going to be friends with this person because they're having premarital sex.
Exactly.
And we don't be out here, okay, we can be friends because, you'll be doing it and you're not married. So there's no difference in sin. Sin is sin across the board. So if that's what you choose to do, I might be choosing to lie every day. You choose to be gay, then we good. You do you in your corner, I do me in my corner.
Yeah, sinners judging sinners and just trying to divide, like, whose sin is bigger. And I've been like Patsy and drinking my water. Sorry,
I understand, especially where Rennie is coming from, because in my situation, same thing. I have a family member that is a part of that community, and like she said, it's somebody that this is family. This is somebody that I love, somebody that I will talk to. I'm not going to shun you or disown you because of this. And a lot of people, like she said, will come at me because how could you and this, and I'm like, why would I stop talking to this person? This is family. This is blood. This is who I love. This person has been there for me from day one and vice versa. So it doesn't matter at this point, this person's sexual orientation. That is family, full stop. So, and I know some people doesn't take that the right way at all. But
I think we tend to adopt what is normal in other countries. So okay, like America would promote something as homosexuality and certain things like abortion and these things, and other countries they like to adopt, to like to follow what the developed countries are doing. And that is the culture now. So it also goes to show that, morals and values being thrown out, and people don't really um, take religious values and beliefs seriously. It shows that, it's declining. And the more it decline, you will see the repercussions of it in society. You would see that things, you may wonder why it is that these things are happening. I don't know if you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I really do. And in terms of that adopted, most times some of the things that, especially Trinidadians, oh my Lord, I love my people there, but they have they have a tendency from the time, especially America does something, right after they follow suit. And sometimes I have to question myself, like, do we have a mind of our own? Do we think for ourselves? Because we mimic and try to follow every single thing. It's like, what happened to individuality and uniqueness? Like, we don't have that anymore. Oh well. All right, so this is my favorite question, and it's gonna be our last question for the night. So there is this thing, and I would say especially in my church, you know, in the olden days, in the days of, like we say, the sisters with the hats, right?
Oh, my sister had hats.
The sisters with the hats, you know.
Olden days, that's current days. The hats still coming out.
Yeah, so there's a statement that goes on that they say that church girls tend to be sexually repressed. And, well, not just sexually repressed in terms of expressing themselves in nearly all aspects, but especially when it comes to sex and sexuality. Talk to me about that. What do you think about that?
It's true.
And why?
Okay, when I think of repressed, I think it really goes across the board in terms of even being educated, being like expressing yourself, because there's a distinct difference in the requirements they put to girls as compared to boys. Like in the church, that is distinct because, well, I can't speak for everybody church, but especially in my church, you see these church boys and their behavior sometimes, and you're like, wow, this is what I'm supposed to aspire to marry. But the good church girls out here are keeping themselves and seeing these are their future potentials. And you're just like, so you're being taught to aspire towards marriage when these boys are clearly, that is not what is on their mind right now. That is not their goal. They are out there for a good time. So I honestly, it's a lot of it, even in terms of education. And the church, sex on a whole is a very taboo topic.
Yeah.
So, like from my experience, they will beat around that bush as long as the bush is there to beat and never get to the point. They would not come out like straight for and say, okay, XYZ, man, woman, this is intercourse. Like there's no sex education in church. Like that does not exist. You are given a broad umbrella and told not to do this. What specifics under that umbrella you are not to do?
And you
figure it out.
What happened? You do it because what is why am I not supposed to do this?
That's human nature. You tell me don't, I do. It really is that simple. And the more you tell me don't do is the more I want to do it.
The more you want to do it.
Why don't you want me to go on the other side? You're not telling me why, what did happen, or anything like that. So now I want to see for myself.
And then you go see for yourself, and then you end up 15 and pregnant, and you're wondering where we went wrong.
Where we went wrong. Like, what did I do? Did I not teach you about it? No, you didn't. You skipped over the topic multiple times. So,
and I think
they don't have the big conversation anymore. And it's really hard because, so to me, now I feel like social media and television and all these things teach kids now. You go on TikTok, sex, or things, or everything. And children have access to the social media 24/7, believe it or not. Even in the little cartoons that
that they watch, the cartoons not even too clean right now. It's like
and they even have the homosexuality things as well. Everything is included. I don't have nothing against you guys just saying that, but you're like included in everything.
Everything now,
It's like it's there. So I think sex. I don't know. You have to burn on that bush because you see that bush.
Yeah, it's like Renee said, it isn't everything. So you have, the homosexuality in it, you have sex in it, you have everything in the shows that children watch. So why, as parents, especially, why beat around the bush? Teach your children about it before TV teaches them about it. So they will know that this is what because they're age-appropriate conversations for these things. You just have to know how to put across what you want to say, instead of beating around the bush. And another thing that me especially, this is a personal pet peeve of mine, I do not like to hear people misname things.
Call it what it is.
You see that misnaming of body parts? Listen. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Call it what it is. Tell the child this is what it is. You have your child going to primary school talking about my minky and my butterfly. And what's that? What is that? And teach the children the correct thing. Teach them it, like I said, age appropriate conversation. Have it with your children. Just have it with your children.
I think a lot of the older heads, especially, they themselves didn't have the talk with their parents, be it for lack of time or just like not being comfortable in that way to have that conversation with them. So I think it's something that was just passed on, because I feel like, even personally, I don't think I ever distinctly had that information. And thank God I was always a biology student, so I figured it out along the way. So I was educated in school. So I was fortunate in that way. But I can't say the same for my sister, because she was recently married, but she's always been a business student.
Yeah.
And some of the things that I've heard this girl say is just like amazement. And this is a 30-year-old married, had her first child like 6 months ago, and I was genuinely amazed at her cluelessness.
Yeah. I don't think I, like Gabby, I don't think I ever had that conversation with my parents until
you don't
maybe late, like, and I mean real late in life, like late in life. Because I don't think my parents were comfortable having that conversation. Thank God I had an aunt that she was into, sex education, teaching about HIV and AIDS and STIs and all these kind of things. And that is how I learned the majority of what I know. And then I went from that, I went into psychology. And of course, in psychology, you have to learn everything. So, like Gabby, I learned the majority of it from school.
Yeah.
And it's late in life, when I don't know if after a while, because I am my parents' last child, so I don't know if after a while they just decided, all right, let's get over this, and we had something of a conversation. So yeah, because especially with church, like I said, we still have the sisters with the hats. they tell you, you know, young ladies are not to be heard, not to be seen. What is the statement? Young ladies are not to be seen and heard. I can't remember it, but basically you're supposed to be quiet as a lady. And you're not supposed to express yourself, you're not supposed to say certain things, and you're not supposed to do this, you're not supposed to do that, you're not supposed to do the other. And it's like you said, man said, church girls especially are so repressed in expression. Half of them don't even know how to communicate once. And I think that's probably why we in the size of what we want to eat too, because we don't know how to say what we want. Because we were taught not to express ourselves like that, not to say certain things. And from the time a woman opens her mouth to say, I don't like this, I want this, she's labeled as difficult. She's very difficult. She hard to deal with. I can't deal with her. And you know, she controlling, she demanding, she this, and it's like, no, I just saying, just how men will say what I want, why can't I?
Exactly.
You know? So
I think they have this way of, you have to be this mouse in a house, I guess. That's how I see it. Like, whatever your husband do, you just have to take it, and you can't say anything. I'm like, oh, no, ma'am.
Quiet in a corner, not doing anything, and you're just supposed to take. And even in counseling, like I have seen couples come and they sit in front of me, and when I listen to them and I look at the dynamic, and I realize, oh, you just not saying what you want. Like, open your mouth, sis. Open. Talk. Tell your husband what you want. He's not gonna know. He's not going to read your mind. You have to tell him.
But
I think that's something a lot of women have to work on. Because from this side, they expect everybody to read my mind sometimes.
Why?
Honestly.
They can't.
I know they can't. Logically, I know they can't. But for some reason, I want you to figure it out. I want you to figure it out. I feel like I can't be that bold to make my statement.
Wow. Oh my gosh. The Renee just shaking her head like, no.
No, but my thing is, why reach so far? Like as you say, you see couples who come before you, and you know, the wife like she's afraid to talk, or I don't know, 3 times if you're not safe, kind of thing. And it's like, whoa, let's say you reach so far that why you all even get married in the first place to now have this like
It really is terrible. And like I said, I'm not bashing the church or anything. I go to church, you know, faithfully. But I think the church missed so many opportunities to teach people so many things. And we now have a lot of church people with trauma that believe that, you know, God could fix it all. No, I am not saying that he can't.
But he has to use somebody to do it.
Realistic.
Thank you.
Realistic.
You have to be realistic about it.
And their teaching sometimes are not modernized.
No.
So back in the 90, 80, 90, how much ever, when the church was founded, cannot work in these modern times. Things change.
No,
they didn't have phone, they didn't have this. That's why people long time marriages cannot work, because they didn't have all these things.
Distractions.
But now have everything, and they need to. I don't know. They need to be.
Back then too, like the church was such a central part. Like you go to church was the main form of counseling. Church was your financial aid. It was your financial guide.
Church was like, everything.
Church was such a central part that okay, you believe, you go to the pastor, he will give you money advice. He will give you advice on how to fix your relationship, how to deal with the trauma, say your prayers, and the trauma will go away because you had no other option. You didn't have to. Therapy was not so openly available.
Yeah,
it wasn't. affordable, you know, like back then that was the only way. That was the best option.
I think therapy is looked on as you going to a man, like a human, for help, because even it kind of is not really a bad thing to seek counseling. Because I remember when I was dealing with my anxiety and stuff like that, and I was telling a friend, I was like, I think I want to go counseling and stuff like that. He was like, better you go and talk to an imam or something, because therapy, it's kind of like you're seeking advice, or you're seeking help from a human.
Yeah. Yeah. And plenty couples, especially when couples come to me, I tell people a lot of times, from my church in particular, they don't come. Again, I ain't bashing nobody, but they don't come. I get everybody else but them. And and I sit and I listen to them and they complain about certain things. I'm looking at them like, go see a counselor. just go see a counselor. And some of them, their marital problems, like, I'm going to the pastor. I'm like, the pastor not qualified to counsel you. He didn't go to school for that. He went to school to teach you the word. Full stop. There are people who went to school for over 10 years to get this right. Okay, that's what we qualified to do, to help you. And they will sit in church and they're like, I will take my problems to God. I don't need no therapist. And it's like, sis, like I understand. Exactly. I understand God. God could do it all. I am a firm believer in that. However, he placed people. He made us as humans as social beings. He placed people to help people. So you looking at me and telling me, God will fix my problem. And then you're sitting down in church and you have anxiety. You have this. You have all kind of stress going on in your life and you don't know how to deal because you're not doing anything about it. It's really sad. It don't be easy at all. It's really, really sad. But ladies, I want to thank you all for, joining me tonight. We will do this again. So, don't go too far. We will do this. We will do this again another time. I thank you all for coming. I'm calling this segment Chatting with the Church. People from different denominations giving their views on different things. I know Alicia had another meeting and she was kind of in and out, but I want to thank her for coming as well. And I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful night.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry